everyone. Right off the bat, let me tell you that I don't know what I'm doing. I've never made a ranking video before, and I barely figured out how to get all this set up, so um, we'll see how it goes. But I wanted to make this video. It's about games that I have completed. There's no rhyme or reason to these games. They're across multiple different consoles and different times of my life. But the thing is, I don't remember a lot of the games that I've played. I have played tons of games. The sad thing is, I haven't completed many games. So these were the ones that I could remember that I've completed. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Um, One thing I'll say of how I am ranking these games, I'm not one of those people that goes deep into frame rates and graphics and all of that technical fun stuff. I'm just more a little bit laid back, simple games that I've enjoyed playing, games that I would play again. And another big factor that's gonna play a role in my ranking is uh, nostalgia. A lot of these games I remember playing as a kid, so they're gonna have a little bit more of a weight to them than maybe you would put to them. So this is not a list to for you guys to agree with. This is just a list for me to tell you what I think of them. So let's go ahead. I'll start with one of the games. I actually have not pre-prepped, so I don't entirely know where I'm going to place these games. I have chosen 20 games that I remember completing, and let's just see, let's just see where it goes together. All right. I'm gonna begin with the very first one. So this is Sonic Adventure. Now, I'm not just placing it in the C tier. I'm just kind of placing there temporarily. Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast. So I don't recall how we got a Dreamcast, when we got a Dreamcast. I just remember we did have one, and we had literally maybe 2 or 3 games for it. One of them was Sonic Adventure, which I immediately fell in love with. It allows you to kind of play through with multiple characters, and each character has kind of a storyline of its own, which I thought was really cool. So it's kind of, you're playing multiple individual games, but they're all kind of interconnected, intertwined, but they all have their own, storyline, which really awesome. I thought the game is awesome. The gameplay is awesome. The uh, just the nostalgia for it has a really big place in my heart. So immediately right off the bat, I'm gonna go ahead and start with an S tier game, which I would play over and over again. um, Sticking with Sonic, there is Sonic 2. So this game, we also had the Sega, one of the first systems that we've owned, and I just remember playing this game without it having the ability to save and never being able to beat it. um, what ended up happening was many years later, finally having the options of playing this game with save modes and save options, I was able to finally complete it. Now, you could probably already tell it's already a second Sonic game on the list. I really do enjoy Sonic. Definitely one of my first characters, I guess, in video games that I've fallen in love with. And definitely has a very high place in my heart for it. So, Sonic, although it's a great classic game, I'm only putting this one at A tier because it's definitely a classic fun game, but I don't necessarily have the pool to play it over and over again as much as I like Sonic Adventure. But it definitely still deserves to be up there in the A tier. Now the next game, I'm just gonna jump right into it, is Tomb Raider. Now there is the trilogy that came out of the three Tomb Raider games, and the first one I actually started playing a long time ago and never completed it. which then I think a year or two ago I have decided to give it another try, and I played it all the way through. Tomb Raider games are classics, even though I didn't necessarily grow up with them. I know they've been around for quite a long time, but I enjoyed the feel of it. I enjoy the kind of the storyline throughout. Definitely written very well, in my opinion. Lots of different unexpected moments throughout the game. Um, but as much as I enjoyed it, um, I think it's only going to be at a B tier for me. I have started playing the second game in that trilogy, but I haven't completed it and I haven't touched it in quite some time. um, but I think the game, the first one at least, deserves to be up there on the B tier. Let's go kind of something that I'm playing right now, and that is Spyro. So Spyro also has the trilogy that came out, kind of the remakes of the original ones, and my cousin absolutely loves these games, and he's kind of the one that convinced me to get back into them because I remember going to his house and playing on the PlayStation the original, like old school Spyro games, and honestly, I wasn't a big fan. It's not something that I particularly enjoyed playing. I was more of a Crash Bandicoot fan, so he had a bunch of Crash games. I'd play those instead. But yeah, I went ahead, decided to give it a try. I've beat the first one in that trilogy. I'm currently playing the second one, but I'm just purely ranking the first one right now, and I think it also deserves to be a B tier game. It's a little bit of a different style than most games. It's one of those, I forgot the technical term for it, but it's a collecting game. Pretty much, not only are you trying to complete the mission, but you're going through and trying to find, collect all the gems. It kind of makes you search, it kind of makes you look around all the nooks and crannies, kind of keeping you busy that way, which in itself can be fun, but not exactly my top favorite thing to do in games. But so far, after beating the first game, I've been enjoying it a lot more than I have when I was a kid playing it on the PlayStation back at my cousin's house. um, let's jump into something also a little bit more modern. I'm gonna jump into It Takes Two. Obviously, you need two people to play this game. It's one of the first games that my wife and I played together, kind of co-op, and we absolutely fell in love with this game. And ever since we played it, I think every single year we would replay it. It's in our game rotation. Definitely a well-written game. Love the love how different each section is. Like, for those of you who have played this, there's just so many like references and different styles of games, and they just did a really good job with this game. And because we do replay it every single year, I am gonna go ahead and put it up in the S tier, as it's definitely probably one of the top games, especially for co-op playing. Um, let's go with Plants vs. Zombies. So I played this on my phone. I also thought it was a very unique approach to the style of gaming, and just in general, Plants vs. Zombies. Like, how does that come to your mind? Like, how do you sit down and be like, let's make a game about defending a house and killing zombies with the use of plants. Definitely a unique twist on this style of gaming, and I love it. I still have it on my phone right now. I actually re-downloaded it not too long ago and replaying it. Um, definitely deserves to be up there in the B level. Um, Game Boy Advance game, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I know that they've made the remake, they have it on the Switch, but I played it originally on the Game Boy Advance way back when, and honestly, not one of my favorite Mario games. Um, I know it's supposed to be more of like puzzle-like, where you're pretty much, trying to get this key to the door, and it's a lot of puzzle thinking, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not one of my favorite Mario games. I mean, I'll be honest, that's all I could really say about it. So for me, I'm just putting it down at a C tier game. Gun. So we ended up getting the first Xbox, and we had different games on there. We had like the Hitman games, which are great, by the way. I know I've beaten a few of them, but I don't remember which ones in particular, so I didn't add them to this list. But I remember at one point we got this game Gun. So it's kind of like a Western style game. I have very little memory of the gameplay. I do remember I enjoyed it, but it's nothing very memorable, I would say. I did rewatch some gameplay videos, just how the game was. Um, Western is not exactly a genre that I enjoy particularly, but the game in itself wasn't terrible. So I'm gonna also put it down at the C tier level. Jumping back to another Game Boy game, it's Mario Golf Advanced Tour. So there's a regular Mario Golf, but then there's also Mario Golf Advanced Tour. This one's gonna have major nostalgia points, just because when I had a Game Boy, first of all, it took forever for me to get a Game Boy. They were already on the way out, is when I finally got my first Game Boy. And one of the first games I had for it was Mario Golf Advanced Tour, and just love the concept of it. You wouldn't think that a golfing game would be that interesting. I mean, they still make golfing games to this day. But for me personally, I loved the storyline, because it did kind of have a storyline to it. Not like a straightforward storyline, but everything was interconnected, and just being able to level up and go through these tournaments. There was just a unique twist, I think, in general to Mario games. Even when you were practicing, you go to different trainers and practice various putts and chip-ins and all these other like unique approaches to golf, and it just really was amazing. I actually not too long ago replayed the game entirely and beat it within a week. Just kind of plowed right through it. So for me, this actually is an S tier game that just kind of mostly has to do with nostalgia points. Split Fiction. So Split Fiction is one of the newest co-op games that has come out. I did play this one with my wife as well. I also played it a second time with my friend, and I'll be honest, I just don't know what about it, but I'm just not getting the same enjoyment out of it as, for example, when I played It Takes Two. They're both co-op games. They're both, very unique approaches to things. I mean, just jumping between sci-fi and fantasy was in itself really awesome. Some of the ways the screen would split between the two, I thought was just absolutely unique. I mean, the game is made very well, but I think it's missing some sort of element that's just gonna make me fall in love with it. But for me, unfortunately, it's only getting a B in the rankings. Stranger Things. So this is another mobile game. Stranger Things. Uh, it's one of those pixelated games, and I love that kind of a look to a game. Although I think it's the only one on this list that is of that style. But it's very puzzle-like. You You got to figure out ways to get through the levels. All of them have like a boss fight at the end. Just a very classic style game. But in all honesty, I think I'm only gonna give it a B or C. I think as much as I enjoy it, I think I'm only going to give it a C tier just because I'm judging it based off of the other games that I have on this list. And I think in comparison it's a C tier compared to all of them. Halo 3. You can't forget about Halo 3 or Halo in general. I mean, we grew up playing Halo. We grew up having, a room packed full of guys playing split screen, 4 guys on one screen, you little boxes that you're trying to see, but I'm not judging the multiplayer aspect of it. I'm judging the campaign. Because Halo 3 I think is the only Halo game that I actually completed campaign wise from beginning to end, and I think it's just the most epic one. I guess it's the most memorable one, even just speaking to others, especially that last level. Everybody just has, I think, a very special memory in regards to that last level of Halo 3. So as much as I enjoy it, the campaigns were not always my favorite part of Halo, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a B ranking for this ranking here. I still have a lot of Mario games on here. Let's just kind of push through the Mario games. Super Mario 3D World, another game that we play on the Switch. My wife and I have played through it multiple times. It's one of the games in our rotation. It's entertaining. It's fun, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of my favorites. There are some unique elements to it. It's definitely entertaining to play with somebody. If I was to play it on my own, I probably wouldn't. I probably would never choose to play it on my own personally. But playing it with somebody, yeah, absolutely, it's fun. But I think I'm only giving this one a C tier. Super Mario Wonder, which is one of the newer ones that has come out, personally to me has more of, again, there's nothing wrong with it, but has a very, I think the audience, the target audience for this game is a little bit younger. And so the only thing I probably really enjoyed in this game was the last level, which just the music and the way you're fighting Bowser is, I don't know, I found it very entertaining. But besides that, it's not one of my favorites. Definitely think it's more for a younger target, younger audience. But unfortunately, this one's going all the way down to a D tier. And the last Mario game that I have on my list is Mario Odyssey, which I remember when the Switch was coming out and Mario Odyssey was like the first Mario game coming out with it. Brilliant game. Brilliant game. Another one in our rotation. My wife always plays as Mario. I'm always Cap or Cappy or whatever his name is. Definitely a very entertaining game to play. Especially with 2 people. I'm gonna give it an A ranking. Oh boy, Pokemon Red for the Game Boy. Again, as you recall, I've mentioned that I only got the Game Boy as it was on its way out. And I think the first game I had with it was Pokemon Red. And although I wasn't a Pokemon fan, didn't watch the show. I've tried giving it a try later on in life, couldn't get into it. But the games in itself, I think, are really neat. I enjoy the concept of catching and training and battling and just that whole unique aspect to it. I love. And Pokemon Red is probably one of the two Pokemon games that I actually did complete. I think there was a second one that I ended up trading this one for. I think it was the Yellow Pikachu edition. But I think Red has a little bit more of a nostalgia factor for me since it was my first one. But I am gonna go ahead and give it a B tier ranking. Just to finish off with Game Boy games, there was a game called BattleBots. Again, there's nothing unique about this game. It's a very short game. You're pretty much assembling your own robot and you just battle them out in this arena of sorts. Only reason I included it in here was because I recall it being one of the games that I finished. As I've mentioned, there's not many that I have finished. But in all honesty, this game is just not fun. So I think this is probably going to be the only game that I'm going to put in the F tier section of this list. A Way Out was another co-op game that my wife and I played, very unique. Had an interesting twist to it. For those of you who have played it, understand what I'm talking about. But I feel there's more cutscene, more video aspect of it. You know, there's not. I wish I had more gameplay to it, and less cutscenes and videos and things like that. But in all honesty, I think I would still give it a B tier, just because playing it with somebody is absolutely fun. Any game that has the ability to kind of split and play with two people and each person has their own tasks that they have to complete and do, I just think is worth playing. Definitely not as good as It Takes Two, but I think B tier should be fair for it. Need for Speed Carbon. So I was never a huge fan of racing games, and Need for Speed Carbon just was, for whatever reason, an amazing game to me. They don't have it. I haven't been able to find this game anywhere since then. I think the only way to play it is getting an Xbox and trying to find a CD copy of this game. Like even in the Xbox store, you go, they have other Need for Speed games, but you can't find Carbon anywhere. Definitely my favorite racing game that I've completed. Just has a lot of nostalgia to it. I remember customizing the cars absolutely wild, that nobody would probably do to their car. Cars weren't exactly my thing, but definitely one of the better racing games that I've come across, and I'm actually gonna put it in the A tier. The last game that I have on my list is Simpsons Hit and Run. Oh boy, what do I say about this game? Well, right away, I'm gonna let you know that I love this game. I've enjoyed watching The Simpsons growing up, although I was always told that I wasn't allowed to. But I would always find a sneaky way to watch it. And then Hit and Run was just this mix of racing, GTA, but in a Simpsons world and universe, and it was just lots of fun. This game was entertaining. It was fun to play, and in all honesty, yeah, this is one of the games that I would love to replay and play again. Just haven't been able to, but if I think I'm gonna put it in the A tier section of this ranking. So these are the 20 games that I have completed. I'm just giving it one last look. Am I happy with how I ranked all of these? Let's see. S tier, wonderful games. Absolutely would replay them over and over again. A tier games seem correct to me. For me, it's very sad to put like Split Fiction, A Way Out kind of on one tier. I don't necessarily know if that's what I would do. Man, that's tough. That's a little tough. I think I'm gonna make an adjustment. I think Gun's actually gonna go down to the D tier. I think I'm gonna also put Mario vs. Donkey Kong down in the D tier to make that adjustment, because I think the B tier, I think I honestly would probably put Split Fiction down to C. Tomb Raider, Spyro, Plants vs. Zombies, Halo. Oh man. It's always hard ranking things, and like I said, I'm doing this right on the fly, so no prep work ahead of time. Just so you can see my struggle with how I would put these in a ranking. But I think for the most part, I should be happy with how I have everything set up. Probably. I mean, I can't sit here all day. Maybe I'll change the list one day. Maybe a couple of things will shift. But I think this is it, everybody. I think this is how I would rank my 20 games that I've actually completed. And then maybe one day I'll do a bigger list with games that I complete from now on. So, let me know what you guys think. I know, I definitely know you will disagree with me on a few of these. But, let me know. I'm always curious to hear what you guys think. So there you have it.